Barak Yahweh, Barak Yahweh Shah, Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shah, Bahashim, Kahadash. All praises, honor, glory, love, respect, faith, and power, and trust, and all credit to my Heavenly Father, Yahweh, and my Heavenly Big Brother, Yahweh Shah. Thank you so much for what you've done, what you're doing, what you're going to do. Double honors to the apostles and elders and bishops of GMS, Great Millstone, who I learned from, and all the men scattered all over the world. Teaching this truth and nothing but the truth. In the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Bashim Shah, trying to put a spiritual bug in you Hebrew Israelites' ears, you so-called black Latinos and Spanish, Native Americans, and Slovenians, and you speckled birds. And what is a speckled bird? That'd be a Hebrew Israelite that look like some of the heathen nations, like for example, a Hebrew Israelite that look like a so-called white person, so-called Chinese person, etc., etc. Got some videos of Esau being a nosy nigger. You want to be all up in your business. I haven't played any of these videos, but I'm gonna play these videos. I'm gonna get into the scripts my best ability and say whatever God say through Spirit and power. Yahweh Shema Shah, the Holy Spirit, the Kurhak Dash, Lord wanna be on me, let get it. And also, what other videos this talking about? What is this about? Oh yeah, grocery stores in somewhere in New York required a ID. Anyway, and I might get into this. I might get into CBDCs. I don't know, but basically all this stuff is about control and privacy, surveillance, and all that jazz. Anyway, I'm gonna play these videos and get into the scripts my best ability. Let's get it.
Hey, it's Dan. Welcome back to I Allegedly. I've got a good one for you today because the man is spying on us, and now they're going through our trash and they're using it against each and every one of us. Like, subscribe. Let's get right into it. And I have a great story to add to this too. Dr. Marvin sent me a great story about Coral Gables in Florida, where they are starting to use AI to go through people's trash and inspect. Well, that sounds good. Gonna find some bad stuff, anything nefarious, anything illegal? No, it's ridiculous. The problem with it is that here in California, you've got the environmentalists, which mean well and want to protect pristine places like this beautiful park. Okay, it's early in the morning. You want something like this nice. You want it clean. You don't want people putting trash. You don't want them poisoning the little lake down here in the river and all that stuff where there's fish and people congregate and have a good time. But the problem with this is that these cameras and AI cameras are being used in a completely different way, and it's happening across the country. It really is. Here in California, it's to the extreme. And the different management waste companies and trash management companies are handling this in such a way that it's preposterous. Now, think about this. If they find something illegal, clearly they're going to report it to the authorities. But the idea with this is that, did you sort your trash properly? Well, what do you mean? Here in California, we have 3 bins of trash. You have regular trash, you've got recyclables, and then you've got green waste, which is plants and your grass clippings and things like that. Okay, that's great. Problem with this is that if something gets into the wrong bin, you can have a violation. Well, you know how people are. Well, we had that big party over the weekend, just put it in the recycle bin. Okay, I don't have room, I'll put that in the green bin. Just make sure it's in a plastic bag, somebody will sort it later. Well, that sounds good in theory, but now it's a problem. When I moved into my newest house, I was there a month or so, and I get a letter from the waste management company saying, hey, listen, we found some things in your recycle bin that were not yours, and
Goodness gracious. Oh my goodness, man. And you know what's so funny? All this shit, and you getting a fine for because you got the wrong thing in the wrong trash in the wrong bin. And all that trash, they probably ain't gonna recycle that shit. They're gonna just dump it out in the damn dump and bury all that shit in one damn place.
please understand we have pictures of this. And if you continue these violations, we're going to send out a state inspector who's going to go through your backyard to your cans and inspect. And I laughed. I said, well, he would be taking his life into his own hands if he showed up in my backyard, no matter how docile my dog is as a service dog. But if you're not supposed to be there, you're in trouble. Okay? So I called the company and they're like, listen, at first they were real rude. Well, listen, do you know what was in there in your recycling bin? No, I don't. You had carpet in there. And I started laughing. I said, I didn't put that in there. You also had, it looks like floor mats and this, and just listed off a myriad of things. And I'm like, oh yeah, that guy moved out from down the street, and I saw him walking down the street putting stuff in other people's trash cans. So I didn't think anything about it. I thought nothing about it. So anyways, told her, you're not coming in my backyard. I don't care. I'm not going to do this. And I haven't put anything in my trash can that would be considered anything illegal or anything bad, and I'm not worried about this. Flash forward about 3-4 weeks later, I get another letter from them, and I'm like, oh, this isn't the bill. This is the company with this violation letter again. Please understand, in your recycle bin, we found a plastic bag. And I'm like, huh? You're serious? So there was a picture of where the trash goes into the trash can, and there was a plastic bag there, and the plastic bag had all the bottles, cans, and things like that. So I called the woman up. I said, are you guys high? What is wrong with you? Well, you can't put things in a plastic bag. I said, ma'am, these things are wet, and I don't want to create bugs, rats, or anything like that, even in a trash area. I don't. So what am I supposed to store them in? Well, why don't you rinse out your recyclables and dry them first? What, with a hairdryer? Are you high? Okay. I said, you know what? I'm done with this. I'm absolutely done with this. There's over 300 houses in my tract. How many of these people have you done this to? Well, I have no idea, sir. I think you're the only violation. That's nonsense. Okay. So it just so happened I had dinner with my girlfriend that night, who's a...
I don't want to hear this whole story. If you want to watch the rest of the video, be my guest. Go to title, go check. I was thinking of some other shit that he gonna talk about. But anyway, I guess they're gonna use AI though. They're gonna use AI to be all in your trash and find you if they got the wrong trash inside the trash bin. Whatever. Anyway, I haven't watched any of these videos, so I don't know what to expect. But let's continue on with this next one.
Recently, Max Blumenthal was detained and all of his devices were confiscated when he flew back into Dulles International Airport from the Middle East. He had spent time in Iran really covering the Ayatollah's funeral. He was there for maybe a couple of weeks, I think, in Iran, comes back, ends up detained. He is an American citizen. His rights were violated, and this is an attack on independent journalism. Joining us now is Janine Younes. She is the president and legal director of the American Arab Anti-Discrimination Committee. She's also a civil liberties attorney. She's been fighting for a lot of our civil liberties through COVID and now through this attack on free speech that really is targeting a lot of people who are speaking up, independent journalists who are speaking up against Israel. Janine, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you for having me back.
Okay, so Max Blumenthal's case, let's start there. His rights were violated. What exactly, when he flew in, what exactly happened to him?
So based on what I understand, when he flew in, he was admitted to sort of a secondary screening. It was, indicated that he wasn't going to pass through very easily, presumably because he had been coming from Iran via Turkey. They questioned him for around 20 minutes, and then they told him they wanted to look in his phones and to put in the password. He had 2 phones on him. He said no. And so they said, well, then they were going to take the phones, they were going to confiscate them, hook them up to devices and do like a forensic extraction of data to see what was in them. He was exhausted at that time and just wanted to get home to his family. So he just didn't really, protest too much, went home. And it's sort of full disclosure, I'm very good friends with him and his wife. So I had, told him that I had been informed that some journalists who are hostile to Israel and the U.S. imperialism had been given trouble at the border. So to let me know if anything like that happened. So I was on alert. We had a conversation about it. And then when the phones weren't returned imminently, we decided to file this motion for the return of his phones.
How long did it take to get his phones back?
So they had told him that he would get them back within a couple days. He didn't hear. So we decided to file the motion, and then they called him within 24 hours and said, okay, you can come get your phones. I suspect because the case received some publicity and they didn't want to go through the trouble.
So then in total, how long did he was supposed to get them back in a couple of days. He obviously didn't. How long did it take for the motion to be filed before he got his phone? So you said that it was pretty right away that he got the phones back after the motion was filed. But how long was that was it like a week?
A week, yeah. So I believe they took the phones on the 10th of July, and then we filed the motion on the 16th, and they called him on the 17th and said, okay, come pick up your phones.
Wow.
But we also requested... Sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was going to say, we requested in the motion that they also turn over any data and information that they took off the phones. So that's sort of what the ongoing fight is, since he now has the phones back.
Right. How do you get that data back? How do you know you're getting all of the data and that they don't have copies of the data?
Well, that's currently the fight. So they submitted a declaration. The judge ordered a hearing shortly after we filed the motion, Judge Brinkema in the Eastern District of Virginia. The government filed a response with an affidavit or a declaration from the Chief Customs and Border Protection Officer in the region, I guess, saying basically, we didn't take any data off the phones. Actually, we tried, but we couldn't. So we don't have anything. And we're arguing, well, that's just not enough. We're not going to necessarily take you at your word. And even if he's not lying, which maybe he's not, he just doesn't necessarily have the knowledge. He can't attest to what happened to the phones. This is a supervisor. Presumably other people dealt with the phones. We want to know, did you get serial numbers, for instance, to try to get evidence from the tech companies about what's on the phones? Did you plant any devices on the phones? That's actually happened to a colleague of mine's client. So we want property logs. We want to know who handled the phones. We want all records of exactly what happened to these devices before they were returned to him.
So you say that Max was tired, so he just kind of gave in. But I don't know what else any of us would do. What would you advise if this were to happen to any of us? Because it seems like this could happen to a lot of anybody who's speaking out against Israel, especially now that they're combing our social media accounts and finding out where we lean politically. That this type of thing could happen to a lot of people. What should we do if we're faced in this situation?
Well, that's an excellent question. And just to your earlier point, I do believe that this was targeting based on viewpoint. There were a number of journalists, some even on his flight, from establishment media outlets who are not subjected to this treatment. So it does look like viewpoint discrimination, which is one of our contentions. But in terms of what people should do, well, I mean, you're probably right. There wasn't a whole lot he could do. I mean, you could try to raise legal arguments and say this is, violation of my First and Fourth Amendment rights. Those are sort of the general.
Oh, but that shit is damn near done away with. You could forget about that shit. That's why I'm telling you, Israel, you better get this truth now. Because whatever what is the First Amendment? I don't even know what the fuck that means. I mean, what is it? I don't care. I mean, I don't care about that shit, but say what is the First Amendment? I mean, yeah, freedom of speech, religion, blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I don't give a fuck about that garbage. Anyway, I mean, I only go by the Bible.
Arguments for journalists. There's something called
That's where the true law, the true law lies in.
Privacy Protection Act, which also gives journalists sort of heightened protection in their confidential sources. So that's another point you could raise. I'm not sure if CBP officers would be amenable to that.
Well, that law the true law that lies in the Bible, Esau don't go by that anyway. He can go by his own law he makes up.
But, if you raise it, they might not think it's not worth the trouble. My guess is it probably would not have made a huge difference in this situation. But the judge did note that there was a decisive Fourth Circuit case. The Fourth Circuit is the Court of Appeals for the Maryland, Virginia area, so that includes Dulles Airport. There was a recent Fourth Amendment case saying that the Customs and Border Protection can conduct a limited manual search of your phone when you re-enter the country for no reason whatsoever. So and everyone, you but not you, they just don't like how you look, whatever. They can ask you to open your phone and look through it for a couple of minutes, but they cannot conduct a forensic data search without individualized suspicion that you've been involved or in a crime or something like that. So the judge actually brought that up and said it looked here like his Fourth Amendment rights had been violated. So I think that's a point that people could make. If you don't suspect me of a crime, you're violating my Fourth Amendment rights if you take my phone.
So do we ask them? I mean, I've never been in this situation, so I don't know. Like, do we ask them, hey, am I being charged with a crime? And otherwise, no, you cannot take my phones?
I think probably the standard is more like suspected. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court has basically eviscerated our privacy rights when we come in and out of the country at the border. I completely disagree with the Supreme Court's jurisprudence on this matter. I don't think it's consistent with the Fourth Amendment. But the reality is that basically Customs and Border Protection can search your property for any or no reason whatsoever. That being said, courts are beginning to recognize that electronic devices are different. They're not like a suitcase. First of all, they're unlikely to carry like an explosive device or something that presents an imminent national security issue or a ton of fentanyl or something like that.
Unless you're Israeli. And
that's what I was saying. I was pagers. That's true.
That's your Amalek. Yeah.
True. Okay. So it's not totally, but I think the extreme courts outside of the border context, the Supreme Court has recognized that there's a significant privacy interest in smartphones because they contain so much personal data, and that for the most part, law enforcement needs a warrant to search your cell phone. In a case called Riley from 2014, the cops had searched someone's cell phone without a warrant, and the Supreme Court said, no, you need a warrant. Like, that's so much privacy stuff. So courts are still ironing out exactly what the rule is for smartphones at the border, but
I ain't gonna play no more of this. If you want to watch the rest of it, be my guest. They go to title, they go to channel. Let's get to the next one. I think I think all these videos about pretty much related to the famine and worse. I ain't gonna get the description until I get to this last one. Yeah, let's go.
So if you know a search is about to happen, you now can't delete your phone. Now, Tunick has been charged but not convicted. The government still has to prove the seizure was lawful and that he intended to defeat it.
We have a person who found a way to fight back, and the system ain't happy about it. The government hopes to set a precedent. An interview with the man charged for allegedly wiping his Graphene OS phone.
American citizen wiped his phone clean at the border when immigration tried to search it, and now the federal government is charging that American with a felony that could put him in jail for up to 5 years. This is absolutely true. Federal prosecutors have charged Samuel Tunick, a U.S. citizen, after customs officers entered a passcode he provided and his Google Pixel allegedly erased all of its data. Tunick was returning from the DR through Atlanta. His phone reportedly ran a type of self-destruct software which allows users to create a separate duress credential that wipes the device instead of unlocking it. Tunick was indicted under 18 U.S. 2232A, a law that's barely ever used. It prohibits the destruction or removal of property to prevent a lawful government seizure. Now,
But it wasn't in their possession yet. So what the fuck is their problem? Anyway.
Prosecution's theory is that the phone was merely the container. The digital data was the property, and Tunick knowingly caused that property to be destroyed while the officers were trying to seize it. The government doesn't have to prove that the phone contained anything illegal. The wiping of the phone is the crime. Now, Tunick's lawyers argue that the detention and seizure were completely unlawful. He was targeted because of his political activism. He was not given his Miranda warnings and certainly wasn't given access to an attorney. Now, what everyone has to understand is that CBP updated their rules for phone searches in early 2026. And the new rule says CBP can refer any traveler, including a U.S. citizen, to secondary inspection without any suspicion. A basic manual phone search can be conducted without a warrant, without probable cause, without suspicion. Under current CBP policy, an advanced forensic search requires reasonable suspicion or a national security concern plus supervisory approval. But in Atlanta, there's special rules, and there's binding precedent from the 11th Circuit that says the Constitution itself does not require suspicion even for a forensic border search. And that's why the government can take your phone, especially in Atlanta, hook up wires and download stuff. Now, if a citizen does not unlock the phone, CBP, under the new rules, can detain the device, delay your inspection, but because you're a citizen, you have to be allowed into the United States. Now, for Tunick, the critical issue is intent. Installing software or duress passcode is not illegal. Ordinary deletion for privacy is also not illegal. So if he deleted the phone well before he got on the plane and then entered the customs area, what did he do wrong? Nothing. But the statute expressly covers conduct before, during, or after a search. So if you know a search is about to happen, you now can't delete your phone. Now, Tunick has been charged but not convicted. The government still has to prove the seizure was lawful and that he intended to defeat it. Let me know what you think in the comments of this case.
All right. Now, this is an interesting one, isn't it? Let us continue. Graphene OS, sounds like a good operating system, provides users with the ability to set a direct PIN password that will irreversibly wipe the device, along with any installed eSIMs, once entered anywhere where the device credentials are rescued. The wipe does not require a reboot and cannot be interrupted. The U.S. government charged him with allegedly typing in a passcode to wipe his phone. Now, we go on to everything else that happened that has been covered. The agent said they wanted to search his phone. He declined, asked for his lawyer multiple times. Finally, they asked for his phone and gave a pretense of searching for child abuse imagery. Of course, with no
proof of that. But hey, man, this type of shit what Esau gonna be doing to you believers of Yahweh Shema Shah, man. Accusing you of all kinds of shit. Fucking nigger.
Probable cause for that. Tunick gave a code which the officer tapped into the device rather than unlocking the device. That was that. Anyway, let's get your thoughts.
I don't know. This nigga was an Edomite. He probably did have some child pornography shit. I don't know.
So what we have, and I love that, we got a dress code. Can I have the code there, Mr. Nixon? Yep, it's 1313. 1313. Uh-oh. I think that was the wrong code. That was the Addams family. 1313 Mockingbird Lane. There we go. I love that. But of course, as we see the same thing over and over again, don't we, kid?
Well, I would say, for the very fact that he was being searched and seized, I mean, you got to have probable cause. If there's no probable cause, why are you going after this person?
No, they don't.
Again, okay, go ahead.
Customs Border do not need this. Well, they don't need probable cause. This is a good question. They don't need probable cause normally because if you're looking into, let's say, your suitcase, they can argue you could be bringing in an animal or a plant or something into the country that could bring in, some disease or illness. So normally they don't need probable cause for searching your physical stuff for those reasons. But you bring in a good question. There ain't no plants or animals or diseases inside of your phone now, are there?
No, there isn't. And not to mention what data you're trying to collect. Because if they're coming after you, I mean, again, a serious allegation then of, they got to be careful of PDF material. I mean, that's a serious allegation. I mean, that was in the article, correct?
Yes, yeah, they said that's what they were looking for.
That is a very serious allegation. Unless there is overwhelming proof of him committing this crime or crimes in that nature, it needs to be shared immediately. You just can't say, well, we think. Well, I could think that somebody's in a suitcase, there's a bomb in it. Or I could think that there's illegal drugs in the other suitcase. Or I could think that there's firearms in another suitcase. You got to have the evidence and proof. You just can't say, well, we think it's on your phone. Hand over your phone, because then what's to say, oh, your bank account information, your emails, oh, your political opinions or posts, or what are you posting about? Who do you follow on social media? Because now everything's up for grabs. You got to be very careful out there with which is exactly how far the surveillance state can actually come after you. Because when you make an allegation, again, you got to have the proof. Why are you indicating that he has committed this crime? Again, that is a serious accusation. Calling somebody a PDF, you got to have the proof and trail of evidence. Otherwise, they could be facing a lawsuit because of that accusation alone. All right.
Yeah, they don't even have.
Unless there's something more to the story to lead to further development of any kind of accusation. You got to back that up with proof. Otherwise, this guy's got a lawsuit on his hands against the Customs border.
Yeah, they have.
So pretty soon, all that proof, and they got to prove that you get that ain't gonna matter anymore. They ain't gonna say you guilty, cause it's just how it gonna be. I don't know what else to say, man. And this devil here gonna be locking everybody up, even his own people up for whatever reason, and they ain't gonna give a fuck. That's where you need the Lord. Let's get to the next one. It's a social media ban, and this ain't in America. This is in Britain, but still, all this shit going on. All these videos gonna be pretty much some issues that's gonna take worldwide.
Hot new Wednesday weekly deals already at Lidl. Grab any selection of our fan favorites for less.
$1.29 a pound for some. It's seedless grapes. It's something gotta be wrong with them grapes. I mean, of course, man.
Like our famous spinach and mozzarella wrap.
I feel like I'm banging the same old drum here, but you guys are going to have to bear with me because this is important. So we all know about the social media ban, but not many people know where it came from. There's a bill called the Children's Wellbeing and Schools Bill, and one of the people that wrote the amendments to that for social media bans, message screening, all of this stuff, was a guy called Lord Nash. Now, Lord Nash is applying pressure to Andy Burnham to make the Online Safety Act more tough, more strict, and basically, well, as this title says, Burnham must use brute force on social media ban, says Peer. Now, having a government official saying that brute force needs to be applied to its citizens tells you everything you need to know about the Labour government, and it doesn't matter whether it's Keir Starmer, Andy Burnham, whatever. The party is the same, the policies are the same, and unfortunately, as Andy Burnham's spokesperson has said, they plan to go down doubly as hard on the social media ban, and all signs are pointing towards a more dystopian future for social media and internet usage in the UK. And actually gaming, movies, platforms and services, websites, AI chatbots, pretty much anything else that you use online is going to be regulated under this ban. Now, before we kick off what's really going on here and what has been said, get yourself a VPN. I know I say it a lot, but it's important. Private internet access are a long-term sponsor of the channel, and there's a reason why I keep telling you all to use a VPN. If you are a legal adult in the UK, you can legally utilize a VPN to not have to hand over your identification when accessing.
Man, that shit don't do a damn thing. Get out of here with selling that crap.
Forced to implement Labour's social media ban on under 16s after research showed tech firms obstructed Australia's scheme. Now, I'm laughing because the report just came out on Australia's social media ban, which basically showed that it didn't work. They've basically seen no difference between 10 and 15-year-olds using the internet and social media from before the ban till after the ban. All they have seen is data breaches, people's identification, driving licenses and biometric data being stolen. And Lord Nash, the guy that actually was behind the social media ban, has said this is because, research showed tech firms obstructed Australia's scheme. That's not what the research shows at all. Lord Nash, whose amendments forced Labour to adopt a ban, said the Prime Minister must learn the lessons from Australia, where an official report had revealed platforms were to blame for millions of children remaining on social media despite the ban. Now, once again, this is absolute bollocks. The reason why this is nonsense is because what happened is that all the platforms that introduce social media ban regulations like age verification requirements and even monitoring user data to see if someone could possibly be a child based on what they search and what they watch, all of the companies that implemented this also did not see a decrease in social media usage for children, because the reality is there's only so much legally social media platforms can ask for. They can ask for a copy of a passport, but the social media platform can't go and verify every passport with the government body to make sure it's legitimate. And with biometric data, there's only so much they can do to ascertain whether it's a real face or a picture of a face or a 3D model or whatever it might be. Basically, Australia created a law that's far too complex for any social media company to actually regulate, at least this early on. We're still only like 9 months into the ban. This isn't because of social media companies. This is because people fundamentally object to handing over their passport to see what their friend's up to. 8 in 10 Australian children who were on social media before the ban took effect in December 2025 still had an account with at least one platform 3 months after they were supposed to be blocked, according to the research by the country's e-safety commissioner, the online regulator. Now, I've mentioned this a few times now. The 8 in 10 figure is the one that's been touted the most. But if you actually read the report, they've added in an extra 17% more people, because this report wasn't like used by data. They basically asked 800 children about their social media usage across the country. And there was one caveat added to that some children were kind of worried about admitting they're still using social media because schools and the media in Australia are telling children that they're breaking the law if they do so. So they are factoring in, one, VPN usage, and two, the fact that some children won't really admit it into this data. So yeah, 8 in 10, it could be more like 9.7 in 10. Well, it says here that just over half, 50.2%, said the reason they were still on social media was that companies had failed to even ask them their age, despite the platforms being required by law to take all reasonable steps. Now, reading the report, there was actually more to this.
Alright, anyway. Let's see what this is about.
Telegram was ripped off of the Apple Store yesterday. It has since been restored. But what exactly happened? Why was Telegram once again censored, this time by Apple? It was nowhere to be found on the Apple App Store worldwide. What exactly happened? Now, Pavel Durov has said that it was an extortion attempt. But one should ask the question, who was behind the extortion attempt? And the reality is there's a lot of actors who want to see Telegram gone for good. And why is that? Because people get on Telegram and they share information that large governments, empires don't want the people to have. So Pavel says, last night Apple briefly removed Telegram from the App Store because a user had planted illegal porn in a public chat. Telegram was restored within hours, but I want to explain what happened to warn other app developers and help protect online communities from similar attacks. Because Telegram quickly removes illegal content from public groups using all kinds of moderation tools, the attacker had to resort to a technical trick. He inserted AI-modified illegal content by editing an old message in an active group chat. As a result, the content was effectively hidden from the group's members, preventing them from seeing and reporting it. The attacker was a takedown extortionist, someone who demands ransom from group owners in exchange for not targeting their communities. These extortionists use automated accounts to plant illegal content in public groups, then report it directly to Apple, attempting to trigger the removal of legitimate communities whose owners refuse to pay them. From a practical standpoint, illegal pornographic content in Telegram's public groups is not a systemic problem. Our moderation is effective. The fact that attackers must resort to backdated, effectively invisible content and other technical tricks prove this. However, there are two important lessons here for app developers and online communities. Extortionists have found a way to manipulate Apple into overreacting. Apple removed Telegram from the App Store before contacting us. This creates a potential systemic risk for every mobile app that hosts user-generated content. If an app used by more than 1 billion people can be removed from the App Store without prior warning, any app can be. The tactics used by takedown extortionists are evolving, putting communities across social platforms at risk. Telegram has extensive experience identifying the tricks used by coordinated reporting gangs and protecting legitimate communities. Even when doing so risks our own app being temporarily removed from the App Store. Our platforms may not be equally prepared. Stay vigilant, he says. So essentially what the hacker did was the hacker went into a group chat for Telegram, went way far back in the past, scrolled all the way back, and then edited an old message that was no longer visible by the group because the people are looking at the chat, the latest chats. They're seeing the latest ones that have popped up. So he goes back far enough in time to where no one would really see it, because if somebody sees it, they might flag it for moderation and it gets removed right away and the group is safe. But they go far enough back in time that they can then edit a message no one will see because it's way back in the past, and they add the porn in there. And then what they do is they basically ransom the community saying, pay us or else. And then they go to Apple and they say, look, this community is violating your code of conduct. And so then that's when the app gets removed. But let's get real here. There's no way that Apple removed the Telegram app worldwide because one hacker decided to go in and post porn on one community. This must have been a larger, more coordinated attack where it happened multiple times to the point where Apple reacted in a way where they removed the app worldwide. So who would be behind such an attack? Now, Telegram has
Amalek?
had quite a bit of, there's a war on Telegram. These are the countries here on the screen that you see that there's an actual censorship or limitation of Telegram. The red countries, that would be Russia and France. And does it look like North Korea is in on that? Maybe. No, North Korea is not. So I'm just seeing Russia and I'm seeing France and what is that tiny? Maybe Monaco? No, that's not. Where is that? I don't know what that other little red dot is. I need to study my global maps better, I guess. How embarrassing. Anyway, the criminal case against Durov personally. So these are countries that are actually indicting him personally, going after him personally. Russia's calling him a terrorist. France has charged him with 12 counts of something. In the orange, you see the app has been banned or blocked. Full or temporary block of the app by the government. So this isn't including Apple. The United States, you can see, is in the gray. We do nothing wrong. That's what that's meant to look like. But the reality is the United States uses these corporate actors to do their dirty work. Because the government can't effectively really do it, so they do the dirty work by going through different companies. But when you look at those that have banned the Telegram app, you have Cuba, Brazil, China, India, Iran. You've got a lot of countries in Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Thailand. A lot of these countries have banned Telegram outright. Then you have some that have they're just banned on government devices. That would be Norway. That would be, looks like Austria. No, sorry. What country is that? Again, how embarrassed am I? Oh, that's Ukraine.
Alright, man, get out of here. Anyway, I wasn't expecting this video to be, let's skip some stuff.
Regimes like China or Bahrain block Telegram but leave WhatsApp available? Yeah, because they can control WhatsApp. They can't control Telegram. All right, let's go ahead and look at some of the potential likely suspects. Who would want to ban Telegram to the point where they would actually do a concerted sort of extortion campaign? Well, I would say
Israel, Amalek. I won't say Israel, but
it's under the
gotta be Amalek.
guise of an extortion campaign. But in reality, their goal is to get Telegram removed. Who would be the likely suspects? Well, first likely suspect, of course, we're going to start off with Israel.
Hey, Amalek, hey.
Israel has a lot of reasons why they'd want to remove Telegram. One of the reasons is Telegram exposes the genocide of Israel and their land grabs in Lebanon, the crimes they commit in the West Bank, and also just the rancid things that Israelis say on the app. For example, here's Jews calling for the death of Gentiles, unfortunately, saying Jews on Telegram, this is the tweet here, Jews on Telegram are openly calling for the death of all Gentiles.
Yeah, they say that in the Talmud. In the Talmud, they say that shit all the time.
And for Ivanka Trump to be raped because of reports of Trump allegedly wanting Israel to stop bombing
Goddamn.
Lebanon. Quote, I hope you now understand why our elders say that no Gentile has the right to live, is what one wrote. You got another crazy Zionist here. Trump, in a message to Iran,
No crazy Zionist. It's a crazy Amalekite.
on, quote, you launched your missiles, that's enough, return to the negotiating table and make a deal. And somebody wrote in Hebrew, his daughter is a prostitute who deserves to be raped.
Yeah, my whole Amalek.
Another person on Telegram says, I hope, right, this is the one that says, I hope you now understand why our Gentiles have that no Gentile has the right to live. This person here says, if I had nuclear bombs, I would first drop them on America before dropping them on Gaza and Iran.
Oh, Amalek. I hope he does drop something on America. Yeah. Yeah.
This person says, in Hebrew, he is such a effing obsessive son of a bitch about talking. He's becoming worse than Biden. You effing arrogant psychopath. What's the point of talking to them for a year already? What does he think will come out of talking to people who don't want to talk? What an effing zero asshole. May disease come upon him. Then you have this tweet.
Man, they coming against their boy Trump.
Here is an Israeli Telegram channel calling for the death of children. And this is not even a terms of service violation for some reason.
Yeah, that's some shit.
It says here, cry about this little girl, a baby, saying, cry you whore, a whore, 1,000 whores. Cry as long as you can until we get to you too and eliminate you together with your ugly girl.
Amalek, boy. See some sick fuckers, man. That's why they got to be eliminated. They got to we got to take them niggas down, man. These niggas are fucking nasty, bro. And the baby dick sucking Jewish faggot fucker Amalek is an asshole.
So, you know, there's a lot of bad stuff on Telegram that people don't want you to see. They don't want you to see the true face of people. They don't want you to see the ugly side. So Israel is always implicated, you know, pretty much in everything because, well, they often do things, but they certainly have a desire or a need or a want to take Telegram down. In fact, France slams Telegram CEO with 12 criminal charges after Israel calls the platform uncooperative.
Yeah, they're trying to pay him off. But look what these niggas are saying on there.
So France is working on behalf of who exactly?
Amalek.
France could be working on behalf of Israel. France has slapped Durov with 12 different crimes. And one should question, why is France going after, why are they going after him? So
why is even the chosen people even, you know what I'm saying? Why are they acting like this? Why are they going after some social media platform? Like they're the holy people. They should have used their powers, their powers from who they ignorant call God, to shut it down immediately. Yeah, they got to get lawyered up. They got to sue somebody. They got to threaten them. They got to do all this just because they're talking bad about or being exposed. That shows you these people are not the people. And this, I ain't even expecting this video to turn out to be what Kim is talking about, calling on Amalek for being a nigger. Yeah, and mad because they're being exposed. Anyway, but hey, eventually they're gonna shut the internet down or do something. So that's gonna lead to the famine of the word. I think that's the last video. Yeah, that's pretty much the last video. Let me go ahead and read some. Amos chapter 8, verse 11. Behold, the days come, said the Lord Yahweh God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of the Lord Yahweh, and they shall wander from sea to sea. And I thought this video was, I was about to switch and go to another video, but I was like, let it keep playing. And now we got to the juicy part. Yeah, now we got to the juicy part. Yeah. And from the north even to the east they shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord Yahweh, and shall not find it. In that day shall the fair virgin young men and young man faithful thirst. Yeah, so it'd be best for you to seek this word and try to build a spiritual mental relationship with Yahweh Shema and repent before it's too late. Because if you don't try to learn something about our power, then you just basically won't know shit. And you won't even know their names. They won't even study. If you try to call, you won't even know their names, because really there won't be no need to call. And if, anyway, basically it's best for you to seek the Lord. Yep. So the famine of word is almost here. Let's see what this is about. This guy named Mudadi, or whatever his name is, this plant that Israel planted as a mayor of New York.
Mayor Mamdani takes another step in his affordability agenda, announcing plans to have his city-run supermarkets undercut the prices charged at regular food stores by 1/3 on a core basket of everyday groceries.
Political reporter Marcia Kramer joining us in studio now with more on this plan. Marcia.
Justin Allen, Mayor Mamdani was fixated on the number 30 today. It's Breonna Stewart's number on the Liberty, was the number Willie Randolph wore as a Yankee, and it was the cost of a subway token in 1970. Who knew? But now he says it's the size of the price.
That bitch got deep ass voice.
Drop 30% New Yorkers will get when they shop at one of the new government-run supermarkets that the mayor wants to open.
A collection of essential staples that will be predictably 30%.
He got a wimpy ass voice.
30% cheaper at all 5 of our city-run.
Man, that woman got a deeper voice than his ass.
Grocery stores.
Look at this shit here, man. Please. But where's the catch? There's always a catch. He's smiling and shit. And then you know what? Never trust our enemy. And that ain't gotta be Esau. It can also be your own people or these other heathen nations. Never trust our enemy, for his iron rustles, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yea, take good heed and beware of him. And that's mainly, well, it's Esau, but like I say, they plant this nigga in the position so he can be like, hey guys, I'm gonna make a grocery store that's ran by government, and the food's gonna be cheaper, and it's gonna be better than the other competitors, and it's gonna be awesome, and all you gotta do is take this chip implant to get the 30% discount or special ID right for the moment. I don't know what the special ID gonna be. Probably on your cell phone for right now, or a card. But then later on, gonna be a chip implant.
This core set of goods will include all fresh produce, meat, and seafood, along with 20 other essential items like cheese, milk, and bread.
Another picture-perfect photo op for the city's social media mayor as he stood in front of luscious-looking fruits and vegetables to promise New Yorkers that if you shop at his government-run grocery stores, you'll get a 30% discount from the prices at other supermarkets and bodegas.
Once a month, our 5 city-run grocery stores will set prices for this core set of goods.
And they did this, I don't know, somewhere in New York, like some months ago, they had a grocery store where they were selling stuff for a cheaper price or something. I forgot. But I only knew about it from one brother's channel. He was talking about, he was like, people lined up for some more affordable food and shit. And the brother said that he had like a light bulb and it came off or it turned on, and he said it kind of reminded him of when he seen the scene of people lined up at this store. They were like, kind of remind me of people lined up to get the chip implant. But
at 30% below typical retail prices. No exceptions, no gimmicks. The savings.
Yeah, I don't think it was a girl. I think they were giving some free food. That's what it was. They were giving free food. Yeah, that's what they were doing. They were giving away free food. People lined up to get some free food.
This will last for the entire month.
The mayor has promised to open 5 government supermarkets, 1 in each borough, by the end of his term in 2029. So far, he's located.
I hope we don't be here no damn 2027, man. But I probably will be. But I want to get out of here, man. Shit.
2. The first will open at Hunts Point in the Bronx at the end of next year. He says the savings are projected to cut New Yorkers' grocery bills by 15%, about $90 a month or about $1,000 a year. Fernando Mateo, co-founder of United Bodegas of America, says the mayor's plan will hurt the mom-and-pop establishments that he represents.
We know what we're doing. You don't. You're 33 years old. You've never owned a business. You've never run a city. You've never run...
Well, that's why it's going to be government ran. So somebody who's in that type of field, they're probably, well, they don't know what they're doing.
Run a business.
Will it hurt bodegas?
It will hurt everybody, not just bodegas.
Well, that's what the plan is, to get rid of all the small businesses, the mom and pop businesses, all the bodegas and shit. A lot of them started off with Jake's, but now they like Ishmael, or is it Elam? One of them niggas, anyway. But hey, get all y'all out of here. They ain't no, I don't have no ownership of anything. You know, you own enough and be happy.
It will hurt communities.
The mayor insists bodegas won't be hurt.
And the mayor says it won't hurt bodegas or hurt the community, but in order to get some of this free food, or not free food, but get this discounted food, you got to get the chip implant. And it will hurt communities, because people ain't going to be going to buy no, or they will hurt bodegas. That's part of the community. But the people ain't going to be wanting to go there because it's going to be too expensive.
Because his stores won't have deli counters or sell hot food, nor will they sell cigarettes or,
but they need to ban that anyway.
Or lottery tickets.
And we know that a lot of what drives revenue for these bodegas, grocery stores, those are things that make it possible for them to continue to operate. Those are not things we have any interest in competing for.
Yeah, cigarettes, come on, bro. Really? Lottery tickets? Yeah, you do. That shit coming from y'all anyway. Hell. That's what the lottery tickets and such, most of that shit, the money is probably funding the grocery store. Yeah, anyway.
Now, the city is also seeking a qualified grocer to operate the stores, someone who can develop a cost-effective food supply chain, and a New York City Groceries private label. I can see it now. Mayor Mamdani taking to social media to push New York City corn. Not too corny, right?
not too corny at all. I'm sure we're going to be seeing this.
All right, anyway, but they ain't saying nothing about what are the requirements to shop at this store. Let's get it. Okay.
Hey, Shalom, Makim, Shalom. First and foremost, as always, I would like to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakudash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, a great millstone that taught us his truth, and that's for teaching his truth, and much peace, love, and salutation to the elect, beginning with 144,000, all the way down to the large multitude that believes, and who the Lord will deliver in these last days. To you all I say Shalom. I'm the brother Tazama from the Great Millstone Dallas Camp, coming back today with another lesson. I pray this lesson will be edifying to the elect, and Shalom to you few Aqua, to you few sisters that believe and are obedient. I want to make a real quick lesson on this article. This is from yahoo.com. And as you see, it says NYC Mayor.
And by the way, this is coming from the channel of Soldier of Yahweh. I can't say it, but Yahweh Shah. I don't know his Hebrew name, but hey, subscribe if you feel like it, if you want to, but be wise you do it and be edified. Continue being in tune with all the other prophets and edified by all the other prophets. And there go the title of the video on the channel.
Mayor Zoran Mamdani confirms ID will be required to buy city-owned groceries, sparking backlash. Let's read that again. NYC Mayor Zoran Mamdani confirms ID will be required to buy city-owned groceries, sparking backlash. You know, and as us here at Great Millstone, we're going to continue to be that broken record when it comes down to the gradualism, all right, leading to the MOTB, which is going to be the RFID microchip, all right. And this is this is just gradualism, okay. The scripture says in Micah the 2nd chapter, It says, woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. Before the morning is light, they practice it because
it's in the power of their hand. I had it on my mind. Hey, it's here. It's already right here. Micah chapter 2 verse 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand. I didn't know when I was going to get to it, but that's the spirit. I ain't know when I'm going to get to read this, but here it is. And they cover fields and take them by vines and houses and take them away, so they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage. Yeah, you know, family that does evil
is in the power of their hand. You see, because so before the morning is light, they practice or they devise. You know, they do. Well, I'd rather say that that's the word. That's the word for well unto them that devise. All right, to devise it is to pretty much they scheme it up. You know, they're scheming up these things already behind the scenes. All right, woe unto them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. Before the morning is light, they practice it. And that word practice, I want to say in the Hebrew is ashah, which means to do or to accomplish. All right, so they have the power to do so. And again, you know, they work with gradualism. Okay, and this is one step closer unto more draconian law. This is a draconian law. And the scripture says that they frameth mischief by law. Okay, so now, you know, when it comes down to getting your everyday products, your everyday food, you know, from city-owned grocery, for any kind of city-owned grocery store, now you need an ID for that. And again, this is just going to come down the pipe with more and more measures that are going to be more and more harsh. You know, eventually it's going to come down to you having the digital ID. You know, your regular ID is not going to be good enough, so now you'll need your digital ID. And then when it goes down to the digital ID, okay, it's going to ultimately lead to that microchip, man. And this is just, you know, this is just one city out of many that's going to be implementing this, and it's heavy. I find it heavy that it's in New York, you know, which is pretty much like the epicenter of the United States. Okay, let's see what the AI playback has to do with this. Yeah, let's see.
This AI playback is powered by Chrome. New York City is moving forward with a plan to open municipal grocery stores, but a new requirement for shoppers is starting to draw significant criticism.
According to reporting by Olivia Belushi, Mayor Zoran Mamdani confirmed that customers will need to show identification to shop at these city-owned locations.
So you're gonna have to show identification and shop at these city-owned locations, because within these city-owned locations, they're making a lot of these cities into 15-minute cities. So whereas everything that you need within this 15-minute city will be, you pretty much won't have to travel, you know, past. Obviously, that's the reason as to why it's called a 15-minute city. All right, because you know, matter of fact, let's just do this real quick. Let's say we'll say, what's the use of a 15-minute city? Let's just do that real quick and see. All right, AI overview. It says the use of a 15-minute city is to design urban areas so that daily needs like work, shopping, education, healthcare, and parks are reachable within a 15-minute walk. Within a 15-minute walk, bike ride, or public transportation trip from home. This planning model reduces car use, improves personal health, and lowers pollution. That's what they say, but they're really, you know, it's really a form of a lockdown. You know, that's why I personally believe that a lot of these, you know, a lot of these fires are starting, and they're destroying a lot of these homes that are in, you know, rural areas. You know, you have actually a lot of people that live up in the mountains, you know, not necessarily in the mountains, but you know what I mean, like in the higher echelon. You know, a lot of their homes are being burnt. You know, and again, you know, could this be weaponized? You know, absolutely, it could be weaponized. You know, and they could be getting people that are pretty much outside of that city radius. They're getting them up out of there to force them in. You know. It says convenience. It says saves time by cutting down long daily commutes and traffic delays. Better health encourages more physical activity like walking and cycling. Clean air lowers greenhouse gas emissions by reducing reliance on personal cars, and stronger communities creates vibrant local neighborhoods where people interact more often. But again, these 15-minute cities are going to be completely tracked and surveyed, you know, for you not to be able to, for them to pretty much having a keen eye on you. Okay, but again, you know, they'll use the guise of peace and safety, you know, but behind it is really a nefarious activity going on. All right, so let's continue.
Goal is to provide a core basket of everyday essentials at a 30% discount compared to private retailers.
Why is the administration insisting on an identification check just to buy food?
The administration wants to ensure these subsidies benefit local residents rather than individuals looking to resell the discounted items for a profit. Genie Pack from the Economic Development Corporation mentioned they might use something similar to a library card to manage who is buying.
Despite those intentions, the policy is facing pushback from both residents and political figures.
Right. Critics are questioning the logic of requiring identification for groceries when it is not required for other civic activities like voting. There is also a practical concern regarding how residents who currently lack formal identification will be able to access these necessary food discounts.
See that? Because not everybody has IDs. You know what I'm saying? So now, in order for you to access these grocery stores that will give residents quote unquote 30% off, you need to report, or it requires identification for you to even shop there and get food. You see, and again, it's gradualism leading up to something that's going to be far greater. Okay, digital is going to be a digital ID that's going to be required. And then eventually, it's going to be it's going to be cashless. Whereas you can't, these stores are going to accept cash. And then when it's all said and done, it's going to lead down to, do you have it's going to be required to have the RFID microchip. You see, but this is just, once again, another step towards their goal. And you're going to start seeing more and more of these major cities, Dallas, Los Angeles, Dallas, Los Angeles, Houston, these major cities, throughout the country, that are going to start implementing this, that are going to start implementing this as well too.
This requirement has certainly complicated the rollout of the 5 planned municipal stores.
It sounds like a complex balance between preventing abuse and ensuring universal access to affordable food.
Universal access. You see that universal, because everything's going to go to a universal basic income. Okay? So this devil's moving. Like I said, I just want to do a real quick lesson on this. Lord will, I'll be back a little bit later on with some more lessons, but I've seen this, and as the saying goes, man, you got to strike while the iron's hot. You know what I'm saying? So I pray this is edifying to the elect. Once again, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders, great millstone, taught us the truth, and that's what teaching is truth. Much peace, love, and salutation to the elect. Until next time I say, Shalom.
Revelation chapter 12, verse 12. Therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth, and of them of the sea. For the devil, which that's be Esau, Edom, so-called white man, but he ain't white, he's red as a baby dick sucking Jewish faggot nigger named Amalek, the elite of Esau, Amalek, is come down unto you. And also, he be low-level devils too. Yeah. Down unto you, having great wrath, because he knows that he has but a short time. Yep. You trying every kind of ways, tactics, especially like discount food, and in order to get the discount food, you're required to have a special ID. Anyway, and they got to do all kind of tricks just to get their way, and they have to hurry up and do it before it's too late.
So with everything going on in the world and the U.S. specifically, does anyone else feel like something big and bad's gonna happen that's gonna a lot of people? Because we know that the sick people who are like basically running the world think the world's overpopulated. They want us dead. They think we're useless. So I just feel like something is going to happen. And I have a very hard time with that because I already have like really bad anxiety, like some OCD, and like an insane fear of death. Like, I don't want to die. I want to live a normal life. Like, I can't believe that like it's 2026 and like this is the way the world is. Like, I genuinely can't even, like, going to therapy like doesn't even help me. Like, all I do is sit all day with this terrible sense of like impending doom, and I honestly can't take it anymore. So I don't know how or what it would be that they would use to like take us out. Everything though is just so terrifying. Everything that's happening. I mean, with things with Iran, but also like things that are like happening here too, like the flock cameras going up, data centers, like, and now they're talking about like, Flock's not the only problem. Let's be real. Also, there are many brands that are just replacing Flock when like they take the Flock cameras down. So like, we gotta remember that too. But they're like talking now, like Flock, specifically, and I'm sure the other companies are doing it as well, are like releasing drones as if the mass surveillance wasn't getting bad enough. And my thought with this is because what Flock cameras do, and don't let anyone tell you that they're not tracking you specifically. I think a possibility to take out the people they don't like, maybe one way is to use these drones to do that, since the Flock camera does have facial recognition, gait recognition, like, and it's going to, and don't even get me started on like all the apps that we use that's just collecting everything that we say and our opinions and all of that good stuff. I just have like a really bad feeling. I mean, if it's not that, it'll be something else, but I'm really terrified. And I don't know how I'm not crying, like, making this, because this has all caused me, like, an insane amount of mental stress, and I just can't believe that this is the world we live in. Like, I wish I was born earlier so life could have been, like, somewhat more normal, because I don't need, like, what are we supposed to do? And, like, don't even get me started on, like, the theories of, I can't even probably talk about it, because the video will just get taken down or whatever. It might already. Who knows? But I can't really talk about it. If you know anything about like the 2030 theory, that's like what I'm talking about. It seems like they're getting their way. It seems like they're well on their way to getting that very dystopian future, and I don't know. I'm just really scared, and it feels like there's nothing we can do to stop it. It feels like we're losing. It feels like they're getting their way, and I just don't know. And again, it's so difficult because if shit really does hit the fan and things get so insanely hellish and dystopian, I don't want to die. The thought of death sends me into terrible spirals. But I don't want to live in that future that they have conjured up in their minds. Like, the thought of it is just terrible. So I don't know what we're supposed to do. Things are just terrible all around. I could literally go on and talk about everything, but I think you kind of get the point. So if anybody has any thoughts, let me know. I'm scared. Like, I think we're cooked.
Yeah, if you're a heathen, if you're an Israelite, you be alright. Unless you ain't a 2/3 Israelite, then you better seek the Lord. That's your only way. But if you want to remain a 2/3, then nigga, you gonna get fucked up with these damn heathens. But anyway, hey, how about Shema Washah is the only way. He's your safe tower. He's your refuge. Yeah. Or they are. But like I say, they're getting their way. The elite of Esau, Edom, Amalek, they're getting their way. But it ain't gonna be but temporary. Job chapter 20, verse 23. When he is about to fill his belly, talking about gobbling up on everything he got, and in control with getting people microchipped and such, God Yahweh shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating. So while Esau is eating, gobbling up and getting full, like getting fat like a cat, the Lord gonna bust his bubble. The Lord gonna bust his bubble, and pretty much it's gonna be over for him. There was another scripture I read. I think it was just like that, but it was like he gonna cough up. I don't know. Did it say anything about cough? I can't remember. I don't know if I have it in my notes. But anyway, that's all I got to say. But from Family of the Word and what else going on? Yeah, spying on you and what else? Dealing with social media, restricting social media to even, swaying people to get a ID. And so they can get cheaper prices on groceries and food. Soon, hell with cheaper prices of food. Soon they're gonna say you're gonna have to, in order to get some food, you gotta have an ID. You can't get no food without the ID. That's gonna be for every grocery store you trying to shop at. Heck yeah, boy, we need the Lord. because they're going to be famine, pestilence, all that shit, but it's ultimately players of Yahweh Shema Shah. That's why it's best for you to seek the Lord right now by seeking his prophets and take heed of what say and try to build a spiritual mental relationship with Yahweh Shema Shah. By praying Yahweh Shema Shah, praising Yahweh Shema Shah, worshiping Yahweh Shema Shah, fearing Yahweh Shema Shah, and repenting of Yahweh Shema Shah. To all the men out there pushing this truth, and nothing but the truth in the name, spirit, and the power of Yahweh Shema Shah. Keep on preaching, keep on teaching, keep your faith and trust strong. Yahweh Shema Shah, stay humble. And for you few sisters out there taking heed, keep your faith and trust strong. Yahweh Shema Shah. Stay humble, stay in order with your man. If you ain't got no man, stay in order. Yahweh Shema Shah. Peace and blessings to the hopeful elect. And all praises to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah. Shalom.